Welcome in 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray, going to be joined by Cerrone Battle in just a little bit here. Set everything up for you guys. Celtics win tonight, 109-102. Phone number 617-779-0985. We're also on YouTube. Just getting that up right now so everybody can chat in. I'm curious what some of the chatter is after tonight's Celtics 109-102 win. And up 3-1 now in the series, heading back to Boston on Wednesday night with a chance to close things out and head to the Eastern Conference Finals for the sixth time in the last 8 seasons. It wasn't pretty tonight, but they got the job done. And we'll welcome in Cerrone Battle, who joins us right now. Cerrone, last time we talked, everybody wanted to blame Jason Tatum for the failures of the team, and since then, he has had back-to-back games with 33 points. Not just the story tonight, but just catching up from the last game to 2 games later. Here they are, up 3-1, heading back to Boston with a chance to close it out.
Yeah, man, and we're real quick. What's going on, Joe, Skaz? How you guys doing? But yeah, I mean, that last time we talked, everybody was getting on Tatum a lot. But tonight he duplicated literally every single thing he did in the last game, even down to the free throws. 9 for 9, 9 for 9 again. 11 for 25, 11 for 25. Points, rebounds almost identical. Jaylen Brown's his numbers almost identical this game as they were last one. And they every man almost had the same exact performance, good and bad. Al Horford and Derek White, missing the shots. But, they came out, they brought the energy. I thought the Cavs defend. I think they were better defensively. It might not have looked like it in stretch, but I think one thing Donovan Mitchell isn't, and that's a defender. And with them playing Dean Wade, I thought they were better defensively. They made the Celtics play slow in the second half. But like you said, man, when you were opening the show, they closed in the fourth quarter. We all wondered what that would look like. Can they do it? They haven't been tested late in games. It was cut to 3 or 5 or something like that. And Tatum and Brown, they got to the line, made their free throws, made key shots, key rebounds, and they closed them out. This is what you wanted to see. So I think all in all, it was a good effort by this team tonight.
Do you think we can give them credit for the win because Donovan Mitchell didn't play tonight, and the turnovers and the struggles late in the game, and just having a 15-point lead and then the Cavs come back? I mean, to me, this is a road game that's a tough one to win, right? Win back-to-back on the road. Again, I understand that without Mitchell tonight, this thing could have been a little cleaner. They probably could have won by a bigger margin. But escaping the win, that's the most important thing. Gritty teams do it. They didn't cave. Normally, they lose these type of games, right? Well, how many times have we said they would have lost a game like this last year? I think they hold off the shorthanded Cavs. And how many times do you see it? A player is out on the other team, and the rest of the team kind of steps up. This was a clutch game tonight. They haven't played a clutch game since April 5th. That was against Sacramento. And they're 18-7 now on their last 25 road playoff games, and 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. So whether you didn't like the way they played in the second half, because nobody played well in the second half, they came away with a win. People, I think, are finding things to complain about.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to. Here's the thing. When superstars are out, another professional steps in. And for stretches, they were, like we said many times, in order to beat the Celtics team, something extraordinary has to happen. You have to do something statistically that you normally don't do. And in the first half of this game, they hit 11 threes. That's why they stayed in the game. It was still down, but the Cavs hit 11 threes. Max Strus was like 5 out of 6 or something like that in the first half. They hit 11 threes. They took 25 threes, only 24 twos. They were just firing away and everything was going in. That's how they stayed in it. This is what happens around the NBA. Stars are out a lot of games in the NBA nowadays. Mitchell, he only played 55 games, so they're used to playing without him. And when the star is out, your defense is raised up because you have a better defender on the court. And everybody is now involved. The ball movement, the ball skipping around. Guys that normally would pass on certain opportunities are now shooting. That's why they had 26 assists tonight. That wouldn't have happened if Mitchell was on the court. So they were missing their main guy, but everybody else stepped up. Garland, I think, played an amazing game, especially in the second half. But the Celtics, even with all those things going right for the Cavs, they still slowed it down and said, no, let's close these guys out. And every time it looked like they were over with, Celtics said, no, let's close them out again. And they kept doing it. And you have to give them credit for it. Not only last year, Joe, they were losing these games this season. They lost to this Cavs team the exact same way earlier in the season. So it was good to see them close it out, and it was real important for them to do it, and you got to give them credit for that.
So I've been accused of being a Jason Tatum defender. I think you're.
Oh yeah, same here.
You might have got thrown into that mix. I know Scaz is already.
We're all in the same. We're all in it together, man.
I mean, again, we were reacting to a game too where I just didn't think Tatum was the issue. I don't think Tatum and Brown have played awful at all in the series. And I know that Tatum's not where he is, right? We know his struggles are there from three-point land, but, you know, he bounced back at 33 points back-to-back games. Just looking away from him for a minute, Jaylen Brown has been absolutely outstanding. He might have been the best player in their previous game. And tonight, despite the turnovers, I think Tatum and Brown struggled with turnovers tonight because I do think that when they can't find that other secondary score, they do
get tight.
Panic. You're right. I mean, listen, we know – I got to get this out of the way. We all know Tatum and Brown need help. It's okay to need help in this league. Everybody wants them to do it themselves, but there's actual statistical numbers that show when they get a secondary score, a third score, they don't lose. They don't lose. So – for everybody who wants to say Tatum's not doing enough and Brown's not doing enough, well, I don't know. Did you see Drew Holiday tonight in his 16 points? Or Peyton Pritchard was 11 off the bench? That's 28 secondary points that help them win games. And it's just, I'm sick of everyone saying they need the guys got to take over. They don't have the killer instinct. They've already proven they can't win it by themselves. They got help, and now when they get it, they win. What's wrong with that?
And it's league wide, and the people don't watch other teams. You know, you can watch Jamal Murray and Jokic go off, but if they don't have a third guy having a decent game, they lose. And case in point, last night they had Aaron Gordon go 11 for 12 from the floor or something like that, and he was the difference in the game. And tonight it was Peyton Pritchard, it was Cornette, it was kind of a group effort, it was Holiday, and they were missing that guy because Derek White didn't have it going. Horford was still off, and when those guys are off, the defense sags and clogs up the lanes, the drive lane, so it makes it harder on Tatum and Brown. And it's like it's 2-on-5 almost. So when the other guy's hitting, the floor spaces, but those guys weren't hitting, but they still was able to get to the line. I think the two of them combined, don't have it in front, with they 17 or 16 out of 18. The two of them, just those two guys, they got to the foul line. They made their free throws. They rebounded the ball. They gave you 60 points. You can't blame them for anything that went down tonight. They played a good game. They played over 40 minutes. They closed that team out, and I give Tatum credit again for this. When the other man had it going, which was Jaylen Brown, he deferred to him. There it is. I'm going to find you. And when he found Cornette on the lob, he kept finding guys. He was passing the ball. Yes, he was missing some shots. He's missing some deep fades, but he was still looking for his teammates, and they responded, and you got to give them all credit. Jaylen Brown closed them out tonight, and that was all. That's what you expected. You knew it was going to be a dogfight, and that this Cavs team wasn't just going to lay down. And I seen a clip of Forsberg earlier on NBC Sports Boston, and as soon as the news came out, that Mitchell was out, he shook his head and said, "Now I'm scared of this game because I know other players are going to step up and they're going to have a burst, and can the Celtics withstand it?" And they did. They took their best shot, and they got him tonight. A much needed win.
Cavs played their asses off. They were shorthanded. Every single transition basket they hit, Garland gave them 30. LeVert enters the starting lineup, and they played well. Like, I actually like the way the Cavs played tonight. They didn't give up, no quit whatsoever. And yes, they did put both Brown and Tatum in some situations where they turned the ball over. But there was this period somewhere in the fourth quarter where the Celtics could not hit a shot, and I'm looking back at the numbers right now. The Celtics made 6 field goals in the fourth quarter combined. Mm-hmm. And the last field goal that they had was a Tatum bucket that he went to the basket. It got tipped out of his hands. He grabbed it right back and went up for a layup. That was a 5-point game at that point.
Yeah.
Put him up a little bit more, and then you just mentioned some of the things that Tatum was doing well. He ended up becoming the point guard. It wasn't iso ball. It was spreading the floor, and it's something that Joe Mazzulla said after the game. The spacing was there, And if you look, Tatum penetrates the foul line. Brown's man comes over to double. He passes it to Brown, but before the ball gets there, Brown bumps into the official. Then catches the ball on a wide open three and slams it home. Gets slapped in the chest like a Ric Flair, woo, and he's like, woo. And then he was chirping at the official for getting in his way. But, Cerrone, it's the first time in a big clutch situation where I saw Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown almost playing a two-man game, and it was beautiful, and it was the dagger in the win tonight.
It was. And they played off each other well. And this is 2 games in a row. It's been the same thing, same formula. Shot attempts are the same, assists almost the same. It's something they're seeing in the Cavs defense and their strategy. And it's a reason why everybody's production is almost identical. 2 games in a row on the road, everybody's almost doing the same thing and impacting the game the same exact way because they're picking on something that they're seeing or something that they're studying, and Brown and Tatum are seeing it. Now, if Horford and Derek White just shoot their average, this thing is over with. And that's the only thing missing. And that's the only reason why Tatum's percentage or Brown, you see him go, everything's tight in the lane. It's just because those guys aren't really hitting their shots right now anyway. But I think they'll hit them once they get back home. But even with that, with them things being tight, you see Tatum go to drive, everybody collapse. I'm going to kick it out to Brown. And he was almost celebrating before he released it because he knew that was going in. And again, another dagger. The only thing I complained about, it was like 40 seconds left. Celtics got the ball right back. I think it was a steal or turnover or something. And Tatum is sprinting down the sideline like Jerry Rice. And Holiday has it in the middle. It's a 2-on-1 break. And I'm like, just throw it out the head. You get a layup and put this thing over with. And Mazzulla started screaming at Holiday to run a play. And they ended up with a shot clock violation instead of a 2-on-1 break. That drove me crazy, but that was the only thing I could really complain about in that game because they did what they were supposed to do, and they ended up winning that one.
The Celtics had 14 turnovers tonight. It was a sloppy second half. Things were very different compared to the first half for the Celtics tonight. It wasn't clean in the end. They made it hard on themselves. All the whatever you want to use for tonight, they got the win. They went on the road and got the win, but they were carried by their stars tonight. So I hope people acknowledge that. Brown and Tatum led the way in a potential big road win and now setting up a potential closeout game. Do you credit them or not? And I want to lead off there, Cerrone, at 617-779-0985. It was ugly. They made it hard on themselves. They turned the ball over 14 times. They hit 6 shots in the whole fourth quarter. They won the game and were led by their stars. Are you happy enough with that? Because you know what, Cerrone? I am, and I use the analogy of pizza. I don't care how the pizza's made. I don't care. I don't care what toppings you put on it. If you put cheese in the crust, I don't care the temperature. Deliver the pizza. And that's what they did tonight.
Yeah. They get 60 and 20 rebounds from your stars. And they got to the free throw line 18 times on the road. That's not an easy thing to do in the NBA. To get your 2 stars to get to the free throw line that much, and they made their free throws. All these things that we complain and cry about, nervous about when it comes to Brown and the foul line, he made his free throws. Tatum, 100% from the last 2 games from the line on the road. 33 and 33. He had 25 the game before that when everybody complained about him. They are doing what they need to do to beat this team. This Cavs team won 48 games. They probably would have won. I mentioned they probably would have won 50, 55 games if Donovan Mitchell played the whole season. But this team, the Cavs make you play sloppy. They play defense. This is what they do. It's Mobley. It's the big bodies. Allen's usually the second big body, but he wasn't there. But Dean Wade was the big body tonight, and I thought he played good defense. This is what they do. They make you look sloppy, and then they close you out with Donovan Mitchell or Garland. Garland was trying to do it tonight by himself, but he really couldn't. The Celtics took their best punch, and they stood their ground, and they got a win. Every playoff win is not going to be perfect, and they've never have been in NBA history. There's always going to be tough games with high turnovers, but if you can win those games, that says a lot about your team and the team's character.
I had to refresh the page because it says the Celtics stars on the 98.5 thesportsup.com website and Twitter. The Celtics stars stepped up to help the Celtics hang on against the Cavaliers on Monday night. Wow! What a headline! What a headline. Giving credit to the two stars of the team for winning? Wow.
It's all that matters. I don't care if the score was 10-9.
Don't care.
Long as you win the game.
You won back-to-back games on the road in a tough game tonight. And granted, without Allen and without Mitchell, it wasn't convincing. Okay, they got it done. They got it done. They are one win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. One win.
That's it. Wednesday, you resting. You win Wednesday, you're chilling. And you're hoping the Pacers and Knicks push it to 7. And both of those teams look like they're burned out already. You let them two beat each other in the head, but you got to go out there and close them out at home on Wednesday and send a message.
I got a number on Donovan Mitchell and how many games he's missed this year, because I think the Cavs were used to playing without him tonight. So don't give me that angle when we're here till midnight tonight. So I'm trying to keep it. It's a nice win, Cerrone. I don't want to, I don't want to go 0 to 100. I'm going to keep it right around 60, tonight. But we got to hit the headline real quick. I got 3 takeaways tonight. One involves Coach Joe Mazzulla. We'll get into his night. No commercials here. And again, if you want to call in, 617-779-0985. I know Skaz is monitoring the chat, which seems to be lit tonight. So we'll get into that. No commercials here, just the headlines. So Rowan's here. I'm Joe Murray, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Bust from the Town Fair Tire Studios, home of the Celtics, Bruins, Revs, and Patriots.
Left side, touchdown Patriots.
Boston's home for sports is 98.5 The Sports Hub. His leading group station. Sports Hub headlines.
All right, Celtics winners tonight, 109-102 in Cleveland, led by their stars, Jason Tatum, 33 and 11. He also had 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. And then Jaylen Brown, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. And Drew Holiday with a big night, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. And Peyton Pritchard at 11 points. So now they look to close out the series in Boston on Wednesday night. One other game going on right now in the NBA. Dallas up 27-18 on Oklahoma City. In the NHL, Carolina, they win 4-1 tonight. New York leads the series now 3-2. And in the first period, Colorado and Dallas, no score at the moment. And the Red Sox tonight in action versus the Rays. And well, they lost 5-3. Cutter Crawford gets the loss. Headlines brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Joe Murray. Your next update in 30 minutes.
If you've got the app, you've got Spirited Sports Talk.
I have one ear and I got that.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Challenged by Strus. Cornette comes out, sets the high screen. Feeds Tatum into Tristan Thompson. Tatum switches back to the right hand. Drives now on Strus. Gets to the dotted line. Squares and hits.
Spaghetti-o.
This the night. Jason Tatum finally takes it on himself.
Not a bad night for one. Jason Tatum. We'll get into him coming up in a little bit here. So, Ron, these were the 3 things I had. I give Joe's 3 keys to victory tonight. Maybe I'll put that in an article. Number 1, I had winning a clutch game. Just as I mentioned, they haven't done that in over a month. They did it against Sacramento. And it was clutch. I mean, it came down to 5 points. They had to get a couple of big baskets, and then Jaylen Brown hit the big shot. So that was my number 1 of the night. Number 2, I thought Joe Mazzulla was excellent on timeouts tonight. Mm-hmm. Any Cleveland run whatsoever, he nailed it. He let them play, though, something he likes to do. Yeah, about under 4 or 5 minutes to go there. Wasn't calling timeouts, but I think it worked in their favor because they made a key substitution going back to White and to Horford, who struggled all night long, but they helped out on the boards. And then just one other thing, secondary scoring, Holiday and Pritchard. Holiday, after call, we talked about it, man. He was absolutely dreadful in game 2. He gave up 9 threes from the field. I believe they shot, I want to say it was like between Mitchell and Garland, they shot on him all day. Like he was brutal offensively and defensively, and in the last 2 games, he's really upped his game, and here they are now, 2 road wins in a row there. So I got clutch game situation. Joe Mazzulla and secondary scoring is the keys tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with none of that. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. Mazzulla was like, he was on it. I mean, it was to the point he wasn't even calling timeout. He was just stepping on the court in front of him, like, all right, go sit down. So what does he do? Oh, he's calling timeout. He kept doing that, and they would get good plays out of it. They get good defensive sets. I thought the substitution was pretty decent. I mean, I see he tried to go with the Pritchard-Cornette lineup in the fourth, mainly because Holiday and White couldn't hit anything. So maybe if he spaced the floor a little bit with Pritchard had it going a little bit early, figuring that to give him a little more floor space. But I think they were getting beat defensively too much, and that's why he went with Holiday and White. But good for him for recognizing that and not just sticking to it and being stubborn. He put his guys back out there. They made the defensive stops. You know, I think Al was a little better defensively tonight. He still wasn't hitting anything. I want to see him drive and get to the basket a little more too. But you're right. This was a clutch game. They hit clutch shots. They were patient with it. I'm calling for them to run, but they were patient with it and getting the right looks. But yeah, I got to give Mazzulla, a ton of credit for how he coached it and played it. Look, Bickerstaff on the other side, he complained to the refs for 48 minutes. I mean, everything they call, Max Strus was slapping people upside the head, and he was like, this is ridiculous. He complained the whole time, and you didn't really see Mazzulla do a lot of that, except for that one play he challenged. So I got to give him credit for keeping his composure, understanding the situation, and calling a good game plan as the game went on when things got tight late. So I loved you putting him in your top three there. I thought he was real important.
All right, what do you guys think out there at 617-779-0985? I'll start it off tonight with Benny, who is in Oxford. What's going on, Benny?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
How you doing?
Hey, ugly win is still a win, and the guys, like you said, let off right. JT and JB played strong. Now, just nitpicking, I'm happy Al Horford only played 28 minutes, but as I called and said that, I looked at his plus-minus, and he Marcus Smarted it tonight, still led the team in plus-minus. I prefer Joe. I don't know what's the issue. I just want to limit Al's minutes. Like last game, he played 39. That's clearly affecting him at this age, especially a team against like the Cavaliers with no Allen, no really bigs outside Mobley. Like more Cornette, he played well. Even throw Tillman in there, Brissett. Like get some of these guys in there. Rather than play small and just limit Al's minutes around that 25 mark like tonight, which was perfect.
Yeah, I heard that this weekend, Cerrone. I heard you kicking around with somebody. Just to leave, the game plan is they're leaving Al open and he's missing shots. And, it's weird because tonight they went with Cornette for a long period of time. And Skaz and I were like, oh, they're going to go with Tillman at one point. I thought maybe Brissett, like the collegeist mentioned, maybe just to keep it kind of fast. I don't think Horford, sucks. And I understand his age.
He's not hitting threes. That's all.
He's just not knocking down shots. That's literally what it is.
Yeah, he's not hitting his threes. He's getting layups. He hit a free throw jumper or something like that, I think, earlier in the game. He's just not getting the threes. And that's the shot they're giving him because they know he hit a clean 1989 jump hook on the baseline or like in the third quarter or something like that. It's pretty smooth. And he hit the free throw jumper, but he's not hitting the three. And if he were to hit the three, it would pull Mobley or Dean Wade away from the basket and unclog that lane. And that's their worst nightmare because now when Tatum and Brown are beating that guy, instead of them having to muscle through somebody, those are dunks. Those get the team fired up, the crowd fired up, or quiet the crowd if they're on the road. But it's all about Al hitting that shot. But you see the effects of him not having Porzingis. And I didn't notice that till the caller mentioned it. Them getting his minutes back down in the 20s. I thought that's another good move by Mazzulla. I don't know how he did it, but he managed to cut his minutes down. But it's the Porzingis effect. No Porzingis. Horford's playing every other night. Same thing that happened to him last year. Every other night, legs start to go. The threes are the first thing to go away from you at that age. So if you can find a way to get him rest, find a way to get Porzingis back in the lineup, put Al as a man off that bench, and now you really have something. You have a fresh Al playing with Pritchard and Hauser, and you see their game get better by playing with him. So, but I mean, hey, with that plus and minus, he was playing defense. That's what it was. He was keeping his guys from scoring. That's why his plus and minus was so high.
So while we're talking about Horford, he's not knocking down shots. I think he's working hard out there, and he's a veteran. He knows it's going to happen. He even said it recently. Hey, my time's going to come. So, and they need him. They need him right now, and I was wondering at times when they were up 15 if they should look to go a little small, maybe have Tatum at the 5 or just, like I said, put Brissett in and maybe he's the big man. But when it comes to Derek White, they made the 2 substitutions late in the game. I think 4 minutes to go, they put Horford and White back in. White got a big key rebound, saw himself wide open, step back, missed a 3. Yeah. So he still does the little things. They're in Horford. They're doing the little things. So you're gonna ride or die with them on the court. I'm curious what's going on with White. I know it's easy to say they're missing shots, but is it the defensive looks? Because tonight I saw him get a couple of open looks.
Yeah, I think it's just they're pressing. I think now you start to press. You start to aim. I can make this one. You start thinking, it gets in your head. Shooters go through these spells. Everybody goes through their slumps. Derek White was the exact opposite, the last few games where he couldn't miss anything. Guys in his face, he closed his eyes, it was going in. So I think he'll eventually start making his shots. I think he still has his legs. He's fresh. And sometimes, too, we talked about this. It's a series-by-series thing because it's all about matchups. Maybe his legs are not as good as they were because he has to really defend chasing Donovan Mitchell, chasing Garland around. It could be taking away his legs. This is not his series, not his matchup. But the good thing is, if you'd have told somebody that Derek White and Al Horford would be shooting 10% or whatever it is from 3 for the series, and they'd have a 3-1 lead, you absolutely would take it, and you would say, man, what a team effort. And, next series, it might be somebody else that goes through the cold spell. You didn't see Holiday against the Heat. He didn't hit a thing. Now against the Cavs, he has it going. He's familiar against his team. He played in Milwaukee. They played them 4 times a year. He's used to them, and he knew who to take it to as soon as they really got going. So maybe if we think they're going to move on to the next round against the Knicks or Pacers, somebody else will have it going and to be there. Now, Al Horford could eat them up. We don't know, but it's going to be somebody else's turn due to the matchups.
One other thing I wanted to mention is that the Cavs played without Donovan Mitchell 26 times this year. Mm-hmm. Did Porzingis miss that many games?
I think he did.
All right, but think about it. The Celtics can play and actually have a good record without Porzingis. I don't know. I'll see if I can find a record. But this one, like for the people who say, they're without Allen and Mitchell, like Mitchell missed 26 games this year. Like this team did know how to play. That LeVert went right in. They had no problem tonight. So I'm just not going to take they did it without, look what all the guys are not going up against. Hey man, a win's a win. You're 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm not buying it tonight because they know how to win without him or play without him.
Yeah, I mean the Dallas Mavericks are still playing now. They just played the Clippers, and Kawhi Leonard only played. I don't think he played a game. So it's like, hey, you take advantage. Everybody in the league right now is still playing. Took advantage of a team that was shorthanded. Every single team. The Knicks got by the Sixers on the skin of their teeth because you had injured Embiid for a little while. Then he comes back. He's banged up. Then now the Pacers are beating up on the Knicks because they're missing players. It's back and forth. The Miami Heat, hey, if you're not available, that's on you. If you guys can't play 80 games, can't play in the playoffs, that's a part. That's an availability. If you're not strong enough to be able to play through pain or whatever, that's on you. It's a league-wide thing. No one's playing a team that's 100% right now. Everybody's got issues that they're dealing with. Jamal Murray was hurt earlier in the series against Minnesota. Now he's healthy. He's eating them up. Everybody's had their back and forth with injuries. Guys are in and out. It's been that way forever. It's going to continue to be that way. But nobody takes away somebody's past championships because somebody was hurt. Kawhi Leonard's foot get destroyed stepping on. What's his name? With Pachulia's foot. Yep. And then the Warriors dynasty lives on. It happens. But you have to take advantage of it because sometimes these hurt teams, they'll get you and they'll steal a game, and next thing you know, that star is back, and you're dealing with a team that's at full strength. So they did what they were supposed to do.
All right, Bill's in Newburyport. Hey, Bill.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
I got to tell you, Cerrone, I've spoke to you a few months back, and I doubt you remember, but I gave you my opinion about the Celtics with their three-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
They shoot themselves out of the game sometimes, and that almost happened again. And to me, like probably thousands of other fans, every time Al Horford went at the end, trying to fire up another three, it's like, don't do it. When they push the ball, they're incredible. Jason Tatum is all world, and anyone who doesn't see that is an idiot. The guy does so many different things to make that team win. It's the passing, it's the rebounding, it's the involvement of the others. But when they're off, they got to know it and don't shoot. There was one shot he gave up towards the end, and he passed it out.
Yep.
And I'm like, thank God. Somebody got to him. Somebody did an intervention on his three-point shooting.
So, Bill, here, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Bill, they almost got an 8-second violation. I don't know if you remember that. They almost got one, and the bench, it might have been Charles Lee, was like, start moving the ball, Tatum, because they were tired. Like, I'm not trying to give them excuses. They were tired. That was the 5 they were going with in the final 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Like they were gassed because
there was no substitutions coming.
You're right. And the other thing was the transition. Like, give credit to Cleveland. Whenever the Celtics missed a 3, they were in transition. They were running the Celtics up and down the court. They were gassed. And what happens when you're gassed, this is why Cerrone, they taught us back in CYO and back in BNBL, right? When you're running hard and that's when you take your free throws, right? When you're dead tired.
Yep.
These guys were settling for 3, so I was rolling my eyes like, oh, my God, guys, look inside, because I think they were completely gassed, but they had a 7 to 9 point lead at the time, and they were kind of just relying on the clock and trying to get a few blows in on those drives.
Yeah, and look, what he initially said about the 3-point shooting, that was my complaint all season. You preach it to the choir with that, but I got to give them their credit. They only shot 32 threes tonight. They averaged, 45, 46 on the season? This is a team that would take 50 threes in a game in a heartbeat. And today they took 32 threes, but they got to the foul line 25 times. That's what I love. They got to the basket. It wasn't just Tatum, him and Brown. Yep, they recognized that the threes weren't falling. And in that fourth quarter, they went on like a stretch of like 4 or 5 minutes without a made field goal. They kept throwing it up at the bottom of the screen. But the Cavs didn't cut into it because they were making free throws. They weren't getting field goals, but they were making free throws. They were getting to the line. They were putting them over the limit. Max Strus, he was pulling his hair out because he couldn't stop fouling. He had no choice, though. They would have scored on him. But they got to the line. They didn't settle too much for threes. 30 threes from this team, I'll take it. That's in the current NBA, that's low. You look on the other side, the Cavs took 48 threes. They took more threes than twos. And that's why they were in trouble. That's why they didn't get to the foul line. That's why they were crying to the refs, because they weren't being aggressive going to the basket. Meanwhile, the Celtics, they did what we wanted them to do all season. Stop shooting the threes. It looked like they took a lot, but they didn't. They only took 32. Get to the foul line, make your free throws. That's the way they did it. That's the way they closed this team out tonight. I mean, Jaylen Brown did hit a 3 to really close it, but they did it from the foul line, being aggressive, attacking that team, and it worked for them. And that's what we wanted. That's what we've been asking for all season.
What people have been asking for is them winning a clutch game. Winning a game in the clutch, and that's exactly what the Celtics did tonight. Smallest margin of victory this postseason for those who've been calling for it. And winning a close game or a clutch game, you got it tonight. 617-779-0985. Cerrone Battles here. I'm Joe Murray. Hey, Scaz, what's going on in the chat? We'll ask him next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. here. We call them the Joe Murray pre-party. It's Felger and Maz afternoons right now. Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Celtics stayed disciplined. 10-point lead on the ball. Pritchard finds Holiday. Holiday fires a three over Tristan Thompson and buries another one. Drew Holiday has come alive this weekend in Cleveland, and the Celtics have their largest lead of Game 4.
So the Celtics 109-102 win tonight over Cleveland. They now lead the series 3-1. They win back-to-back games in Cleveland and now head back to Boston to close out the series and head to the Eastern Conference Finals for the sixth time in the last 8 seasons, and they get a chance to do it at home. Something and somewhere that they have struggled of late. So I'm looking ahead a little bit here, Cerrone. Cerrone Battle joining us here. I'm looking ahead here. I think if Donovan Mitchell, he probably plays getting, tonight and then another day off. But I just feel like it's closeout time. It is closing time. Get the Semisonic song ready if you want. But I think they understand they need the rest. They need to get their bigs rested. But also, more time, you get Kristaps Porzingis back, who is taking shots during warm-ups today and working with the assistants earlier on.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. You're going to need him going forward. I mean, I'm still not so much Eastern Conference, but if you make it to the finals, you're absolutely going to need him against whoever you face. Look, I think they have to come out with the mindset of ending this. So just to the fact you don't have to get back on that plane and go back to Cleveland. I know nobody wants to go to Cleveland right now. They got forest fires in Canada blowing in Ohio. You're flying and it's cold and sleet up there right now still. No one wants to go back there and do all that again and go back to that building. And you want to win it on your home court. You can celebrate at home a little bit, enjoy it with your friends and family and teammates, and still stay at home and get your rest in. That's the most important thing right now. I know Al Horford's ready to go to bed. I know you want to go put his feet up and chill. So you want to end this, get it over with. And I think the Celtics bench, I think those would be the guys that carry them when they get back home. I can see Hauser and Pritchard, and Horford's not really part of the bench, but I can see the secondary guys really stepping up. Derek White, I think, will get going once he gets back home as well. I think they'll be fine. Tatum and Brown still going to keep doing their thing. And if Tatum's hitting his shots, his threes, it's a wrap. But I think the other secondary guys really get it going when they get back home. And you have to end this just so you can get rest and don't fall into the same traps you've fallen into the last few times you've made it to the conference finals. You're usually the one playing these long 7-game series and can't get rest, playing against a well-rested team that jumps on you early. So you be on the other end of that this time, end this game Wednesday, and get your rest in.
So I have one suggestive move. Tinkering can sometimes come back to hurt a coach, right? We're seeing that in the NHL right now with with Monty. So when I mention this, I feel like this tinker could help because they've done it before this year. We just talked about some of the struggles Al Horford is having, and clearly he has an advantage when he comes off the bench. Sam Hauser has struggled. Clearly he's a big I shouldn't say struggle, but he's not scoring like he used to, like on a consistent basis. Tonight he had 2 points. What about inserting him in the starting lineup? See what happens with the ball, the better talent, the star players around him. Maybe Tatum now goes into the bigger role, and you try to get him going a little bit, but you still get Al off the bench. I don't know if it's a panic tinker, but you're trying to get both guys going, and maybe that's a way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Well, yeah, you can throw him in there more. Maybe not start him, but at least play him more minutes with the rest of the starters. Absolutely. If you want to start him, go ahead. We've said a few times on here, you can put Tatum in the middle against his team. He can play against Mobley. Mobley's not that much bigger than Jason Tatum. He might look like it, but he's really not. He just plays down there a lot. He's a really strong kid under the basket, plays with 2 hands, really old school, kind of look like Joe Smith in the early 90s. But it's just that's the way he plays. But Tatum could play him down there. And on the other end, he has to play Tatum now away from the basket. But I think what's really hurting Hauser right now, again, is spacing. It's because the other guys aren't hitting their shots. So they're playing him tight because they know he's the one guy that you can't give him a foot. You can't give him any space. So they're playing him tight. He's seeing a playoff defense. But if the other guys around him are going, and now everybody's worried about everybody else on the court, now the spacing is better. Now he's coming off that screen and there's nobody there. He's got a clean look at it. So, yeah, putting him out there with the starters might help him out. But I think the reason he's not playing, I think now is defensively. He's getting burnt defensively. And, this time of year, coaches don't tolerate that too much. They're going to sit you down. But I do think when they get back home, he's going to have a game. He's going to have some moments where he hits a few shots and kind of, get things going for himself mentally or whatever. And I think the rest of the bench and the role players are going to have a pretty good game when they get back home.
So I mentioned Hauser, maybe getting him going. Horford off the bench, I think, really is what's best for this team. Could Luke Cornett see a start?
I would do it. That one I would do. I would play Cornett. I would start Cornett. I think he's been really good against Mobley. I think he's been good on the glass. He finishes well. He's really smart around the rim. You see him catch the alley-oop from Tatum, then you see him get the up and under off of Tatum pass. They feed off each other really well. He knows where to be. Tatum knows where he's going to be. And I think just having that is good for the team. Now, don't get me wrong. Cornett was a stretch shooter before he settled in as a post guy. It's how he got into the league. Yep. So he can shoot that mid jumper if you need him to, but he's so smart. He doesn't even look for it. No, my job is out here to run this play the right way. I'm going to get to the basket, keep my hands up, get putbacks, rebound, find my guys, set good screens. He knows his role perfectly. But that move I would play. Again, if you want to just start Horford, fine. But I would give Cornett as many minutes as possible to spare Al and kind of extend him further into the playoffs. Because even if you win this series, you're still only halfway through it. You still got a long way to go to win a championship. So I would play Cornett a lot more minutes. I really like him against his team.
Skaz, how's the old chat going tonight?
Chat's good. Celtics win. It's usually a more positive chat, as expected. But just to Cerrone's point, one of my favorite underrated Luke Cornett stats is he is the NCAA all-time leader for three-pointers by a 7-footer. So he can shoot the ball.
That. Good one.
So it's something that I've almost been waiting for them to unleash. You're probably not doing it in the playoffs now, but that is something in Cornett's game that he hasn't shown really in the pros. But yeah, he can shoot the ball if needed.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to mention just with Cornett, offensive rebounds. The last time we talked, they gave up 60 paint points and got completely out rebounded. In the first half, they shot so well, but in half of their misses, they had second chance points. They had 10 first half turnovers, but they had a bunch of second chance points. So, the more I look at what they did, it was Luke Cornett that was front and center. He had 8 points in the first half, 2 cutbacks, and 5 different players also created second chance opportunities early on in the game. And I think that was an edge that they've had all postseason long. So the size advantage has helped them. And in the games they've lost, really, Porzingis either played bad or just wasn't available in the previous game.
Yeah, I mean, they're a big team. We said from the beginning of the season that was going to be their strength. Tatum is included in that size. You see him on the glass this postseason. He's been the best rebounder on the team, defensive rebounder anyway. So you got his size. Al Horford is still out there. He's a big body. Cornett's still bigger than anybody that the Cavs can put out there. That's a big body. So when you have those 3 guys up there, hitting the glass, Jaylen Brown, yes, he's considered a guard or whatever in today's NBA, a small forward. He's usually bigger than his man. I don't care if he's at the 2 guard or the small forward. Jaylen Brown physically is bigger than most guys that's playing against him. So he rebounds well. Tatum's rebounding. Cornett, Al Horford, they're doing what they're supposed to do in the paint. And that's going to be a strength of theirs no matter who they face. If you look at around the rest of the teams that are still playing, the Celtics still have a huge size advantage and are a better team on the inside. And that's without Porzingis. Porzingis comes back and everybody falls back into their natural spot in the rotation. Now they're lethal. They're a dangerous big team. Now they're getting all the block shots. Now teams aren't even trying to go into the paint when he's out there. And on the flip side, he's a 7-footer that pulls 7-footers away from the basket and opens it up for everybody else. So when they get that guy back, they'll be almost virtually unbeatable when he's on the court and healthy. So, yeah, but back to your original point, their size is excellent. They rebound well. They defend well. And when they're hitting that offensive glass and cleaning up those misses, they're virtually impossible to beat.
All right, we got John in Foxborough on the line. What's up, John?
Hey, Cerrone. Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Hey,
what's up?
You know, I'm going to be a little philosophical. I found something out about my basketball watching. I think the reason why I'm so critical is when I get home in the morning, I always put on the 86 Celtics. I watch 7 minutes of that Milwaukee. So I'm always watching that. It's like I always want to feel like the first time I seen Ricardo Montalban play Khan, and he came out and the whole theater started cheering. I want to feel like that watching this team. I want to feel like Prince when he's saying, play that funky music, white boy, live. I want to feel like that, but I'm not going to because this team is different. This team had a really nice win tonight, and they were really good, but I couldn't enjoy it because I'm just I seen basketball perfection. And what I'm going to do from this point on is I'm going to enjoy this championship because I think they're going to win the whole thing. But for some reason, I want, Sid Sharif. I want perfection. And this is, I think, all us 50-year-olds, the curse of the 86 Celtics. We've seen perfection and we're like, hey,
yeah,
I want it. I want it back.
John, who did the 86 Celtics beat in the finals?
Houston.
Yeah, and who did you want? Who did everybody want?
Oh, we went to the Lakers.
Yeah, and so does the championship still count though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to mention. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
I had to pull that lever. You know what I mean?
No, it's I get it, and I understand his point, but that's the golden era of probably best peak sports. 80s NBA basketball, mid 80s to mid 90s NBA basketball was peak sports. That was NBA on NBC, which might be coming back, by the way. That was peak basketball. You had fewer teams, more stars. Teams were loaded. Teams were 7, 8 deep. That Celtics team had 5 guys that made the Hall of Fame. That, of course, is perfection. You're never going to see that again. I don't care who wins the Nuggets. You didn't see that from them. Not that type of basketball. You had several teams that played. The Bucks were a perfect team. The Showtime was a flawless team. The Twin Towers in Houston, 2 7-footers that out there getting 30 and 30 rebounds. I mean, it was a different world back then. So we can't hold any of it to that standard. We can't. I mean, as good as Kansas City was winning that Super Bowl, they still don't look like the greatest football team we've seen of all time. We don't even put them on the list because it's just a different world now. But this Celtics team in today's NBA, it might not look like it. They're as close as perfection as you're going to get. They were top 5 offense, top 5 defense. They score 120 a game with over 80 games, whatever it is. This is what they do. They have 2 stars that can give you 60. I mean, it's just that's the way they are. They have a bunch of all-stars on their team. But they have stretches where it does look like perfection. It does look like those classic championship teams. And they're going to have those moments where it happens. But look, the 86 Celtics, it's a legendary team. But they had their bumps. They had their bumps in the playoffs. But the path was kind of cleared for them the same way it is for this team because they didn't have to face Showtime when they got to the finals, like you mentioned, Joe.
Yeah, just like the pizza reference. I don't care how the pizza's made. I don't care. Just pop it in the oven and deliver it, baby. And that's exactly what the Celtics did tonight. And their win in Cleveland, now up 3-1 in the series. We'll get a quick look at the Sports Hub headlines. And I have another nugget regarding the Celtics when they're up 3-1 in the series. So we'll have that for you coming up after the headlines. Cerrone's here. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 of the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics win 109-102 tonight, led by their stars. Jason Tatum at 33, Jaylen Brown. Well, he just had 27 in the win, but a big 3 late in the game. And they're up 3-1 now.
Everybody knows Joe.
Just keeps getting better.
Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You went 9 for 15 again, another efficient night. You talked about the poise and the way you guys move the ball. Is that what's leading to these efficient games that you've been putting together throughout the series?
I guess you could say that. I just see me being aggressive. I don't think anybody over there could really guard me. I just get into the paint, take my time, and I feel like that's what I've been doing. Not just in the playoffs, but all season long. So I just get to my spots and just do it.
We could, you guys sound like paid Celtics hosts tonight. Pathetic. Calling this win clutch is an absolute joke. Not even close. And to suggest Cleveland was maybe better off without Mitchell shows just how outrageous your commentary is. Unreal. So, I would like to we are not paid hosts. We do get paid, but we are not paid hosts. We don't get paid a lot, but we get paid. We might be pathetic at times, don't get me wrong, but this was very much a clutch win. And Cerrone, I don't know if you can tell me the specifics of what a clutch win is, but when you close out a game in under 5 minutes, I would believe that was a clutch win, correct?
Yeah, that counts.
Okay.
Last I checked, it counts. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a joke. And it suggests that Cleveland was maybe better without Mitchell. Okay, I said that. That was me. I looked it up. This year, they played 27 games without Donovan Mitchell, including playoffs. They are 12-15 without him. They were 12-14 going into the game. So they've done it before. I know that's an under 500 record, but they're without Mitchell. Like, they've played without him before, and I happened to look it up. Celtics 21-4 without Kristaps Porzingis this year.
And the Cavs, what they score today?
102.
They scored 102. Game 1 with Mitchell, 95. Game 3 with Mitchell, 93. They scored more without him today. And yes, he's a great scorer. But what happens is that doesn't mean he's a better defender than the guy behind him. He's a better scorer. He's not a better passer. He's not a better defender. And when he was out earlier in this game, it allowed other guys to step up and take more shots. The ball movement was better. Again, I think they had 26 assists. The ball movement was better. The defense was better. Celtics scored their 109, but that's what happens when you go to the foul line 25 times. They weren't hitting their threes. Everything was contested. The defense was slowed down in the fourth quarter. The Celtics were pushed into a tight, close game because of the defense of the other players. Look, if Donovan Mitchell was out there, let's say he gets his 30, 33 points, whatever it is. That means those other guys are just standing around watching. You understand what I'm saying? On the defensive end, it's not that much resistance. That's why there really hasn't been these games down to the last 5 minutes, even when Donovan Mitchell was out there, because it's no resistance. The Celtics get what they want. So, yeah, for a few minutes, for a play, for 48 minutes, yeah, a team can be better. They can be better without their guy. We've seen it throughout the league. The Knicks are missing guys, and guess what? They've played better because those other guys are playing defense. They're hustling. They're getting 50-50 balls. They're rebounding. Those are the things a lot of stars in the NBA really aren't doing. And unfortunately, yes, they're Mitchell. They take a downgrade with Mitchell, but for spurts, they get better defense, better ball movement, and more guys are touching the ball and getting more cleaner looks. So they're not better, but yes, they pushed the Celtics tonight because those other guys stepped up and did what they were supposed to do. You saw the difference with look at Garland tonight without Donovan Mitchell. He's able to now ISO. I got the ball in my hands. They're calling plays for me. They're running sets for me. I'm the point guard. They jump out on me. I'm finding other guys. I'm hitting threes off the pick and roll. His game was totally different when Donovan Mitchell's not there. That's what happens in the NBA. Some teams I want to say they're better, but like you said, Joe, they're used to it. They know how to play without him. So they did what they were supposed to do, but the Celtics, they still won the game by 7. It was a close game, but they did what they were supposed to do and won it. That's a clutch win.
And to be fair, the Cavs were 2-3 without Jared Allen this year. So just to throw that in there, they've been without him the least. They at least know how to play without Mitchell. And
they beat you without Mitchell. How about that?
Right, how about that?
They also beat I believe, if my research is right, which it isn't always, but we try, they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Nuggets this year without Donovan Mitchell.
There you go.
So it's not like the Cavs are all Donovan Mitchell. Is he an incredible player and does he help them? Obviously, yes, but the Cavs are still a very good NBA team.
Yeah, they won 48 games without Donovan Mitchell. Let that sink in. I mean, that's impressive. LeBron James and all these other teams with them playing all year, I don't think the Lakers won 48 games with LeBron James and Anthony Davis playing all the time. You know, the Dallas Mavericks, I think they're at 48, 49 wins. They're still playing right now. They won 48 games without Donovan Mitchell being there for a third of the season. This is a good team. They're boring to watch. The Cavs, ugly uniforms, but they're a good team. And Skaz, you just put the nail in the coffin by beating the Celtics, Minnesota, and the Nuggets without Donovan Mitchell. That's pretty impressive.
I just looked it up. Denver, Skaz nailed it. Denver, they had a stretch here. They won 3 in a row without him. You know what's the other common theme is? They went over 100 in most of all the wins. So, yep, Detroit, Denver, Philly, Utah, Dallas, and then
so they beat Dallas, Philly,
they beat
Boston,
the Celtics, yep, Minnesota. This is all down the stretch.
Beat the Pacers as well.
All over 100 points this year without Donovan Mitchell on the court.
Yeah. So you should go ahead and tweet that out.
You did that blind, by the way, Cerrone. And then Skaz.
No, Skaz did that. That wasn't me. That was Skaz.
No, but you mentioned they scored 100 tonight without him on the floor, and that they had more production offensively, which is really the reason they were in the game. And the fact that the Celtics had all those turnovers, that it's almost I'm kind of shocked they didn't score more tonight.
I mean, it's look, people not paying attention to these teams. They look up, they see the Cavs, they're terrible. I didn't hear about them all season. It's like, that's your fault. You did that. And the thing is, they lost 48 games. I mean, they had 48 wins because the last 3 or 4 games of the season, they kind of tanked because they wanted to stay where they were. They had an opportunity to take the 2 seed, but they tried to position themselves to get Orlando. So they started sitting guys at the end of the season, but they would have been a 50-win team. But they positioned themselves and started losing the last week of the season, kind of tanking, so they can get the Orlando Magic in the first round.
I promised to pay this off, but when the Celtics are up 3-1 in a series, they're 29-0 all time. They've closed it out in 5, 18 times, 6 and 9 times, 7 twice. So they're 29-0 all time. Went up 3-1 in the series. They got Dave on the line. We got Ed on the line. We got somebody from Hyde Park. I dropped the BNBL reference and it blew someone's mind earlier tonight. So sometimes I got to take you back to those days. You know, that's just sometimes it's old school ball out there. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go to your guys' calls coming up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
All right, back here, 9.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight? Great show. Hey, just a quick rebuttal to that guy who called up a little while ago. Can't enjoy the games. Basketball's ruined for his whole life because the 80s Celtics teams. Hey, man, I love those 80s Celtics teams too, but to get by the talent and the number of teams that are in the league this year would be a truly amazing accomplishment. I mean, it'd be awesome. I don't know how you can't be a fan of that. And just a real quick stat tonight. Have you guys heard that Tatum tonight had almost an identical night? 33 points, 11 for 25, 2 for 8 from three-pointers, and 9 for 9 from the free throw line. Amazing. Have you ever heard of that before?
Well, I mean, I'm glad, Dave, that you're giving him some credit. I saw this one, Cerrone. So tonight, Jason Tatum joined the likes of LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Will Chamberlain, and Elgin Baylor as most games with 30 points or more, 10 rebounds or more, 5 assists or more in playoff history. He has 12 now. He is basically tied he's 8th all time. LeBron's done it 49 times. Will Chamberlain's done it 14 times. He's done it 12 times in his career, and he's done it in back-to-back games. So, yes, he's been really good over the last couple of games. Did we lose Cerrone? I hope we didn't. Well, anyways, we'll get Cerrone back on. We'll get his thoughts there. And we'll continue to take your calls. I see Mac in the car. Just quickly, I'll get you your headlines. We'll find Cerrone again, and we'll get everything going right back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
WBCFM HD1 from the Town Fair Tire Studios, the home of the Patriots, the Celts, the Revs, and the Bruins. Boston's home for sports is 98.5 The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics win 109-102, led by Jason Tatum's 33 points and Jaylen Brown's 27. They're up 3-1 in the series and look to close it out on Wednesday night in Boston. Other NBA game right now, Mavericks have a 60-50 lead over Oklahoma City. And the NHL playoffs, Carolina got a win tonight. They're now down 3-2 in the series after their 4-1 win. The Stars have a 1-0 lead right now over, actually 2-0 right now over Colorado. 11 minutes to go in the second. And the Red Sox lost 5-3 tonight. Headlines are brought to you by The Long Drink. For a limited time, you can enter to win the ultimate golf getaway courtesy of The Long Drink at participating liquor stores and restaurants near you. Just look for the bright blue can or visit longdrink.com today. I'm Joe Murray. Your next update in 30 minutes.
This is Charlie McAvoy.
High slot, McAvoy, hook check, they score! McAvoy!
And you're listening to the home of the Bruins.
McAvoy coming from deep in his own zone. Backhand, he scores! McAvoy!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Final hour here. Going until midnight tonight, reacting to the Celtics win. Got Skaz here. Get you guys in the chat as well. See what's up there. Cerrone Battle joining us alongside. And Cerrone, somebody called in a little while ago and was just saying how, man, have you ever seen anything like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum in the playoffs? And I mentioned that this was his 12th career game in the playoffs with 30, 10, and 5. LeBron has 49, but he's now 8th all time in that category, and he's done it now back-to-back in 2 playoff runs and including the last 2 games. We lose him again? All right. Well, we'll get him back. While we're waiting, let's go to you guys. Let's talk to Charles in Hyde Park. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
How are you, bro?
I'm having trouble hearing you, but that's my fault. I think the Celtics are doing what they have to do to get through. But I was listening to the Fox Sports Network this past weekend, and they had a report, and I don't know if it was a caller in or so anyway, so it might be not terribly accurate.
Yeah, you heard it. What was it?
But the Porzingis is ready to come back and for a limited play now. Do you hear anything about that?
Yes, and thanks, Charles, for the call. So the latest report is, well, we saw it on video. He was shooting around at video today, light warm-ups, taking shots, being contended. And I think if this was a deciding game in a final, I think he would be there as Cerrone joins us. But, yeah, I think they're just managing him at this point. And, if they can take care of business in the next game, they don't need him this series.
Yeah, I mean, you keep him out as long as possible. This is what the Bucks were trying to do with Giannis, but they got eliminated before he can get back on the court. Similar injury, similar situation. You keep him out there. You keep him out as long as possible. We keep winning. We're up 3-1. They don't have their big man, so for us to throw ours out there. Yep, Al is struggling. Yep, Al is tired. I know he's looking over like, man, I can't wait for this guy to get back, but he's a professional. He understands. So yeah, you keep him out as if you can get through the conference final without him, you keep him out. So you try and do the best you can to keep him out so you can win a championship.
Cerrone, Jaylen Brown. Let's talk about him. I think he's been the best player consistently for the Celtics in the playoffs. He's doing everything. He doesn't, when they lose, we don't get on him. He's the guy who's I've always said he's skated in this town, but maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. And I know we have been very critical of him, but did you notice some of the left-handed moves he made to the basket tonight? He basically had a quote after the game that he was like, yeah, there's nobody on that team that can stop me. He looked like it at times tonight. He was a little erratic with the turnovers and all that, but just what do you think overall Jaylen Brown's game in the playoffs and just in the series?
He's been very efficient. He's been very aggressive. I mean, he's not taking the 25 shots or whatever like Tatum, but he's still taking his shots. He's making the shots, shooting a high percentage. It was like 60-40 or something like that he's shooting in this series. So you got to give him his credit. He made a really cool left-handed layup when they were hooking him, and he kind of flung it up there and left his hand up there, got a good and one. But most important thing to me, man, he's making his free throws. That's always my concern with him. He's getting to the line. He's making his free throws. So as long as he makes them, he's going to stay aggressive. He's not going to shy away from the line. So I think Jaylen Brown has been great. I think he's at times has carried them and started runs and ended runs on the other end. And I think he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He looks like an all-NBA player, and he's kind of playing his best ball at the right time. It's what you want from your star players.
Yeah, he's been really good. And my opening take tonight was that I think we all know that Tatum and Brown can get to a final together, but can they win? And we don't know that, but I think they do need secondary scoring, some other star. And if people want to sit there and say they're not dogs and they don't have it, and Jordan, they were like, no, they don't have the eye like Jordan. I think the game's different now. Like Jokic needs a Murray, right? Porter had to have some big games. Gordon has to play well. LeBron did it on his own after he needed help to do it on his own. Giannis, maybe he was just it was one, but he did have other good players.
Yeah,
I guess
two other All-Stars on the team.
There you go. I guess it's okay if you have two star players who do what they're supposed to do every single night and maybe lean on somebody else. It's just they're still young, and at this point, I don't care how they win. I just care that they do win. And at this point, when things go bad, Tatum gets the heat, not Brown. But when they do lose, generally they play well, and it's everybody else that doesn't. So that's kind of my takeaway for this whole entire playoff.
Yeah, I mean, just go back to last season. Jaylen was great the first round. He was great the first half of the Sixers series, I believe. And then he just faded and stopped being aggressive. And I think that's what led to them losing to Miami. He just wasn't there late in game. He had good first quarters. Second halves, he just wasn't there. Guys like Max Strus was eating him alive, and he learned from that. At least this year, he's not letting Max Strus or Caleb Martin get him. and he ate them both up so far in his first 2 rounds. These are guys that got the best of him last year, but he's playing good basketball. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and I don't think there's a guy in either of the teams that are left in the other half of the NBA in the Eastern Conference that can match him. And he's going to continue to have the edge. And the good thing about this Celtics team is they take advantage of the mismatches. Whoever has the advantage gets the rock. They get the offense ran for them. And that's a sign of a championship team when you're able to switch it up and the players are willing to do it without pouting, getting mad, or wanting to get their touches or their shots up. And to me, that's a sign of being well on your way to being a title contender.
Yeah, for the naysayers out there, yes, they did have 14 turnovers tonight. Yes, they shot under 40% from 3. Yes, they only scored 6 baskets in the fourth quarter, but they still won the game by 7 points. And I know that the Cavs were without their best player, but doesn't matter how you win in the playoffs on the road, you win, and that's what they did tonight. And that's where I'm looking at. So, yeah, was it harder than it had to be, and was it ugly? Just to me, Cerrone, I feel like that's going to be the narrative tomorrow is they made it harder on themselves. They made it too easy. Really, I just look at it as one more win, and you're into the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah,
think about it. If they had won by 25 tonight, it would have been even more negativity. Oh, look at it. They blew out another bad team. It's all we would have heard. It was a lose-lose situation the minute Donovan Mitchell was out. There's nothing the Celtics could have done to make people feel better. If they would have really smoked this team in the fourth quarter, it would have been no Donovan Mitchell. Because the game was kind of tight, look, they should have smoked them. They were missing Donovan Mitchell. There's nothing they could do to please everybody because you still have people comparing them to 86 Celtics. It's just not a fair comparison right now. But it's like, look, man, the 86 Celtics let some guy come in and give them 60 in the Garden. He ate them alive on a team that had a bunch of guys that was on their way to rehab, came in there and gave them 60, the 86 Celtics. The 08 Celtics, last championship team you had, they went 7 in the first round and then went 7 again in the second round. I mean, they had their struggles, but when you win, everybody forgets all that, and you only remember the parade and, anything is possible. You remember all that stuff, but you forget they had their struggles in the postseason. It gets harder when you play against the good teams, the top teams in the league. And the Celtics, but they did what they're supposed to do. They beat these teams and beat them handily. So give them their credit for having a 3-1 lead.
All right, we got loaded phone lines. Let's start with Mac, who's in Boston. Hey, Mac.
Hey, what's going on, Joe? Well, first of all, back from Los Angeles now, if you're wondering. And second of all, I think people are forgetting that the Celtics have their most important, not their best, but their most important player still out in Porzingis. Like, that's the guy who opens everything up. He spaces the floor, blah, 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 allows you to post up. The thing is, once the Celtics, or if the Celtics get into the Eastern Conference Finals, people got to understand this type of narrative, they're not doing it against good teams. It's not going to stop because they're either going to be playing the hobbled Knicks or the Pacers. So to be quite honest, I don't really care how far the narrative goes because at the end of the day, if the Celtics are winning and staying healthy, this is a team that's going to show up against the top competition. So I don't really care what people say. The whole NBA narrative, it's extremely reactionary. So I just think it's a really dumb argument. The Celtics are, playing terrible teams. They're without their best guy or their most important guy. So totally dumb argument there, I think.
What were you doing in L.A., Mac?
I was in college, man.
College?
Yes, sir.
Where do you go to school?
Occidental College.
All right. Never heard of it. Have you, Cerrone?
No. But it's schools in Massachusetts I never heard of either.
There are plenty of. You probably live around 7 of them that you don't even know about right now.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's like, that's a college? Like, I thought it was an office building. But anyway, I mean, he's right. And where was all this, though, when LeBron was in the East? Mm-hmm. And he was playing 35-win teams in the second round. This went on for a decade when he was in the Eastern Conference. No one said a word. Now all of a sudden it's somebody else's turn, and it's they play. It's like, well, look, you're still gonna have to beat the Eastern Conference team to be a champion. So it is what it is. And look, they can. I don't want to hear no excuses if and when they get to the finals and it's the Dallas Mavericks and they cook them, or if it's the Oklahoma City Thunder, or Minnesota. Well, you can't trust Minnesota. They were just a one-hit wonder. They played Denver. Well, Denver, they really weren't that good. They just got there because of blank. There's always going to be an excuse. No, everybody wants everybody else to have a hard path except for their team. But it's like, come on, man. They playing the teams in front of them. They've been the best team all year. They had a 15-game lead on the Eastern Conference, so no one's on their level. They had a 7-game lead on the Western Conference. Nobody out there was really on their level either. You give Jokic credit and they give him their due, but they were that much better than everybody else. So they're doing what they're supposed to do and have a chance to close out another team in 5. So I hope they do it, get their rest, and I can care less who they play and who the other team has on the court.
Keith's in Florida. Hey, Keith.
Yeah, hey, I want to tell you guys, Joe, I appreciate you letting me on for the second time. And Cerrone, I love your commentary. Actually, both you guys are probably, outside Zolik and Bertrand, you guys are probably the best. But I just want to say one thing.
I'm kidding.
Well, I live down here. I know. I live down here in Southwest Central Florida. I've been out here almost 27 years, and originally from Providence, and been a Celtics fan and Bruins and everybody, Providence College, you name it, for 52 years. But my biggest concern is because the Celtics are so far superior than most teams that they've played in the postseason, all night long during this game, these fits and starts were just making me crazy. And I'm like thinking to myself, why are we playing so much on the edge here? We're giving this team opportunities to keep the game close. I don't understand whether they had Mitchell or not. Cleveland is they're very good, but to me they're on the level just below the Celtics, and I don't understand why it is that these teams that they make me crazy, because I know that they're so far better than the competition that they're playing against, and when you play it to the competition, sometimes you make it close, and you said it yourself, Joe. They make it harder than it really should be. Can you guys explain that to me, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I think that they're young. I mean, Cerrone, my take is they're still trying to find ways to get over the hump, controlling the ball, and sometimes doing it themselves. They turn the ball over. And I do think that sometimes they do rely on other people where, people want them to take it themselves, but then when they miss, they get criticized for it. There's a lot of reasons for it. But I do think turnovers, like you saw tonight, they really tried to, take over the game themselves, and Brown had his turnovers. It was reminiscent, but they closed it out tonight, and maybe it was because it was the Cavs, who aren't a great team. I don't care. They won on the road. That's all I care about. But when it comes to late game situations, is it the coaching or is it the players?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. I mean, he's not the one kicking it off his foot when he goes to the lane, so you got to put that on the players. But, I mean, look, these other teams, like you said, Denver's beaten a lot of good teams without Donovan Mitchell. They know what to do. They defend, and they turn you over. They force you into turnovers. That's what they do. But for the game being close early, the same thing happened in Game 2. Same thing happened in Game 2 in the Heat series, is when one team that's desperate, they come out guns blazing from three. They're just jacking up threes. And when you're dropping all of them in this three-point era of the NBA, everybody has the ability to blow somebody out. That Knicks game in the first quarter, what was it, like 33-6 or something crazy? Because one team was unconscious from three and the other team couldn't hit anything. Tonight, the Cavs came out. They were shooting 50% from three at halftime. They had 11 made threes in the first half. One of the best half-shooting threes all season. So when you're hitting threes, I don't care who's on the court. You're going to be either in games or up ahead. They hit 11 threes, and they were still losing. So you have to give Celtics credit for that. They were shooting 50-50 from the floor. That's today's NBA. If a team comes out hot from three, they can be in it. They can shoot you out of it. They can blow you out. But you have to withstand and take that initial shot. The Celtics took that punch from the Cavs and were able to hold on and win this game on the road. Good win for them. You got to give them credit for that. Because most teams, when you allow that many three-pointers in the first three quarters of the game, you're going to end up losing. But the Celtics team found a way to win the game, so you have to give them credit for that.
All right, we'll take a quick break. I see you guys on the phone lines. We'll get to you. We'll take a quick break, and then your calls next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening.
Skaz as well. How is the chat tonight, Skaz? Any more basketball talk? I think it was basketball early on. Now it's about meatball subs.
Yeah, it usually devolves. We start off sports, and then you never know where it's going to go.
I know we didn't get our barbecue chicken segment in tonight, Cerrone, but
yeah.
I didn't think the Cavs played all that bad at defense tonight. I know it's easy to say when two players go off for 25 plus, but was there anybody on Cleveland where you looked at it? Maybe a Coro at times, but I didn't really see like them having a terrible defensive matchup, even though Jaylen Brown said nobody can cover him.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look bad. I mean, they had no choice but to foul him. I mean, they were very aggressive. There was a lot of holding and pushing, and during some of the screens, they were being real aggressive and bringing the energy. And that's one of those things. When we say they're not better without Donovan Mitchell, but they do play good defense when he's not there. They do find a way as a five guys to play defense together. And he's normally not one of those guys. You never see Donovan Mitchell locking anybody up. That's not his game. But without him, they were able to do that. I thought Dean Wade, with his size, I thought was effective on Tatum and stretches in this game. He was able to stay in front of him and contest those fades. But I don't think anybody played bad defense. I think Garland was getting picked on a little bit early. But when Derek White's having the shooting games he's having, it's hard to say that he's playing bad defense when his man is shooting, 10% from the floor, whatever it is. So I don't see anybody. No one was barbecue chicken out there tonight. They played good defense, and they was able to stay in this game. So you got to give the Cavs a ton of credit.
Speaking of chicken, I know you posted something, man. What was that today? You had some sort of delicious. It may have even been yesterday. You had like
the tenders.
Oh, I saw those tendies.
Yeah, man, I saw somebody make some on Instagram, so I had to try it myself. And I thought about, if I would have took my kids to Cane's, I have 4 kids. If I took them to Cane's and got tenders and lemonade, it's like $15 a person to get that.
Yep.
Easy. I said, I'll make my own tenders. I bought some chicken, but it was like $10 worth of tenders, and I made a whole pan of it. Like, there you go.
Now I need to know, what do you dip your tenders in?
Oh, come on, man. I can't say that over the air, man. I'll shoot you a text message.
Yeah. I like barbecues. I like all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean I thought you just wondered what I was making? Okay, I use everything, man. Barbecue sauce, honey mustard, whatever, man. I'm down for whatever.
All right, well, now
I thought you wanted the secret recipe.
No, now I see this is a family secret. You can't share the family secret, as you know. Let's talk to Eddie. He's in New Hampshire. Hey, Ed, you're on the Sports Hub.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all you do. I'm on the clock myself. But listen, how do you perceive the coaching job Bickerstaff is doing? I feel like, having had to listen to the game as opposed to watch it for half, and then got to watch half of it, I feel like the analysis is about, Cleveland is doing X, Y, and Z, including maybe taking a lot of threes. Are they trying to mirror what Miami used to do, which was beat us in unexpected ways? In my opinion, or what's your opinion on the coaching and overall? Do you believe we're going to get better in this series? That's my comment.
What do you think, Cerrone? Guys and I off the air, I kind of like the job that Bickerstaff has done. I always liked his old man back in the day, but as far as what they're trying to do, I mean, I think they're doing enough up front defensively. And tonight, some of the ball handlers struggled, but I think he does a pretty decent job for that team.
Yeah, he's doing what he can. I mean, eventually, it's a talent gap. There's a size gap, so they're going to struggle. It's some things he wants to do and would like to see them do, but in the end of the day, the Celtics' defense is what forces them to settle for threes. I mean, without Donovan Mitchell there, that was their game plan early. You could tell they screen well at the top. He's down Jared Allen, so he's their main screen and roll guy. So it's the guy you have to be, leery of when he's on the court when it comes to that type of stuff. He catches the alley-oops or whatever. But I think they could do a better job of giving the ball to Mobley when he has mismatches on him. But I think that's on Garland. That's on the guards to find Mobley when he has a Derek White or a Jaylen Brown on his back and he's a foot from the basket. That's on them to do. But I'm pretty sure he wants them to do that, but the Celtics defense takes them out of what they're comfortable doing. And this is the Celtics make everybody look like that. Everybody that beats the Celtics does it by hitting 20-plus three-pointers. They force you into those threes, and if you hit a ton of them, you got a chance to win. If you don't, you're getting smoked. So teams want to do other things, but the Celtics defense and their size force you to become a one-dimensional jump shooting team. So as good as the job he's doing, you got to give the Celtics some more credit because they force you. They force that hand on you.
Andrew's in New Hampshire. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, what's going on, Joe? What's going on, Cerrone?
Hey, what's up, man?
So I got one funny quick story. I'll be quick. And then I have a question about Xavier Tillman. So first of all, Xavier Tillman, he didn't really play much in the first series against Miami. They were using him. Like, why didn't they use him tonight? And then, Joe, I don't know if you remember this. It was about a month ago, the first time I talked to you. Like we were talking about, you guys were talking about Nickelodeon game shows, and that guy called up with the age thing.
Yeah.
And then I had to follow after that, and I was like, I just got to make Joe happy. First time I talked to you, so.
Yeah,
that was a little weird, but
I got spicy.
You know what I'm talking about.
Spicy because I told somebody I was 42 years old, and he called in, and I don't know. He was like, "Well, let me help you with something," and I'm like, "What?" It was a. I took it the wrong way, and I think it was coming from a good place.
I don't think you did at the time. It was just kind of weird the guy worded it. But what do you guys think about Tillman not play? I thought I was saying all night, like you should have been in tonight.
Yeah, what do you think about Tillman, Cerrone?
I think it's a situation where they want a potential floor stretcher. I don't think no one respects him outside of 3 feet. I mean, yeah, they're not defending Al out there either, but Al still has the ability to hit that and get going. So you still think the next one's going to fall. Tillman's not even going to shoot that. I mean, he might have that in his bag, but I think it's about stretching the floor at this point. And Cornette, he can shoot it. You have to worry about him. He's really good at pick and roll. He's a bigger, taller guy. He's way taller than Tillman. Tillman is literally built just like Al Horford, like the same person when they're on the court. But I think it's more of they need a stretch to space the floor and get Tatum and Brown easier drive, and Derek White and Holiday the easier drives to the basket. And I think he's just kind of clogged things up. And he might get more run in the next series if they get there, depending on the matchup. But I just think against this Cavs team, you want to use guys that's going to pull Mobley and those long arms away from the basket. And I don't think Tillman's going to do that.
All right, I have a question for Cerrone and Skaz on the other side. It's regarding the Celtics. We'll get our last headline of the night. We'll tell you what's going on both in the NBA and NHL playoffs right now in headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, Celtics win tonight 109-102. They were led by Jason Tatum's 33 points and Jaylen Brown's 27. Drew Holiday at 16 as well. The Western Conference, Dallas has a 69-65 lead over Oklahoma City beginning of the fourth quarter. In the NHL, Carolina, they won 4-1 tonight. They now trail New York 3-2 in the series. Dallas has a 3-1 lead over Colorado. They're up 2-1 in that series. That game's going in to the third period. And the Red Sox lost tonight to the Rays 5-3. Headlines that brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Joe Murray. Your next update is, well, with someone tomorrow morning, not me.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub. Visit the 99 restaurants the day after the Red Sox win, and 99 Rewards members get a free kids meal with every adult entree purchased. The 99 Restaurant, the official family restaurant of the Boston Red Sox.
Hey, it's Felger here. Spring has sprung, and if your home or business needs a new roof, then right now is the best time to call my friends at East Coast Metal Roofing. During their Spring into Savings event, Sports Hub listeners who mention me, Felger, or the station get 10% off the entire job. That's for a top-quality metal roof, backed by a lifetime warranty installed on any style of home. Never, ever replace your roof again with East Coast Metal Roofing. They service Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, Vermont, and now Florida. Schedule a free quote now at eastcoastmetalroofing.com. That's eastcoastmetalroofing.com.
Attention